Before DMX died in White Plains, New York on April 9, 2021, at age 50, people from all over the world responded on social media with sad messages. It was said that X had a drug overdose, which caused a heart attack, but no other details were given. But what really did kill DMX? According to Irv Gotti, who signed him in the 90s when he was an A&R at the record label Def Jam, he has the answer and finally revealed it. From the beginning, there were a bunch of conspiracy theories about X's death, like he died after taking COVID-19 vaccine, which is totally false. There was also another rumor that involved Lil Nas X since DMX died on his birthday. Some on Twitter said that the legendary rapper was a sacrifice for Lil Nas X, which the Montero rapper responded to by saying, "It's scary how crazy people are." But before we chop it up about Irv's comments, we have to look closer to X's death and what might have led him to that New York hospital bed. X's real name is Earl Simmons, and he was born on December 18, 1970. There are some articles that say that he was born in Mount Vernon, New York, and others report Baltimore, Maryland. The gritty rapper first made a name for himself in the local rap scene in Yonkers, New York, where he grew up. In the beginning, he was a dope beatboxer, and then built a rep for tearing MCs' heads off in rap battles on the streets. But the hip-hop lover was also heavy in the streets when it came to doing crime, and he made money by robbing people with the help of his pit bull, Boomer, instead of using a gun or a knife. It was something that Jada Kiss from The Lox broke down when he hollered at Nick Cannon on Cannon's radio show in 2019. According to Jada, if you saw X with Boomer, it was a wrap, because he was robbing everything on that day. But did X's past street life and all the pain that goes along with it lead him to do drugs at a young age? The answer to that question is yes. Because while speaking on Talib Kweli's People's Party podcast, X said that his old friend Reddy Run tricked him into smoking crack back in the day by lacing his blunt with it. DMX said Ron was like 30 years old back then, and he was just a teenager. He also said that it was messed up that someone he looked up to would do him dirty like that. But Ron posted a video after X's death and said the rap legend was straight up lying. He also explained that he didn't introduce DMX to crack because they were both smoking it back in the day. Plus, Ron claimed that he's only 3 years older than X, so there's no way he was an adult when X was a kid. And besides using a hard white and living a dangerous street life, Dark Man X also had a real tough upbringing. He ain't one of those rappers who had to create a phony image full of fake street stories. Nah, X is the real deal when it comes to growing up hard. And as an adult, he often talked about not being able to get over those days. He wrote about it in his 2002 autobiography, Earl, and said that his father, Joe Barkernot, wasn't there for him and had no hands in raising him at all. Plus, X said his pops wouldn't even call him on his birthday, which is some real low-life stuff. And in 2019, DMX told GQ that his mother, Arnett Simmons, knocked 2 teeth out of his mouth by hitting him with a broom when he was just 6 years old. X said that he would get up in the middle of the night a lot because he was hungry, and he once saw something was wrong in his mother's notebook. So thinking he was helping his mom, he erased it, and that made her go off by grabbing a broom and beating him with it. DMX was also sent to Children's Village Home in Dobbs Ferry, New York, which is a place for troubled youth. And it was clear that he still carried a lot of those tough times with him as a famous rapper, since he spoke about it in his music. But isn't that what people loved about X the most? That he didn't seem to hide his emotions and gave it to you raw over a bunch of dope Swiss beat tracks? Like in his 1999 song, Slippin', where DMX spit about all the wild stuff he's been through. Group homes and institutions prepared my ass for jail. They put me in a situation forcing me to be a man when I was just learning to stand without a helping hand. X rapped about going to jail a lot too, because he was first locked up in 1986 at 15 years old for stealing a dog from a junkyard. Then by 2019, he was in jail at least 30 times by then. He even spent 90 days in solitary confinement at the Gilmer Federal Correctional Institute in Glenville, West Virginia. But even after all that, DMX was still loved and his concerts stayed packed, even 20 years after his first album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot dropped. And it seemed like a lot of artists also wanted to work with him in recent years, and some of them had much to say about X after he died. Rick Ross is one of those artists, because in an interview with People, he said that X had a funny side that a lot of people didn't know about. Rose and X linked up to make the song Just In Case in 2019 for the TV show Godfather of Harlem. If you haven't already, check out the video because it's pretty turned. And it was shot at the legendary jazz spot, Minton's Playhouse in Harlem on 118th Street. In that same interview, Ross talked about X's addiction and said that he too has family members battling through the same problem and understands how hard it was for X to stay sober. Plus, Ross said that people should use DMX's death for motivation because X would want his fans to turn up and take everything they do to the next level. But all of the love X received still didn't seem to make him fully happy based on what he said in interviews. And maybe it had to do with his mental health. That's because when DMX was interviewed on BET's Rough Riders Chronicles, he said there's a bunch of people living inside of him, and they all help him get through life. X said that he doesn't know if any other people were made up by him, if God created them, or if they were born out of all the tough things he's been through in his life. But did drugs really contribute to his death like the news reports say? According to Irv, it did. And he also said that there's a lot more to the story. While speaking to 107.5 WGCI in Chicago, Irv said that the late rapper got a bad dose of crack that was laced with the drug fentanyl, and that's what's caused him to have an overdose. Then, the Murder Inc. founder said that DMX had to be hooked up to a ventilator because he had COVID-19, but by that time he was already brain dead. Then Irv said once X's family told him that he was brain dead, he decided that he didn't want to see him like that and would rather see him like he used to be. But Irv did say he's at peace now because he feels that DMX is with God now, while admitting the rapper had a lot of demons in his life. But how did X's family feel about Irv sharing all this information, whether it's true or not? So far, no one has gotten at the music mogul publicly or tried to cancel him on social media, but that could change any day now, right? And so far, nothing was heard about a beef going down between Irv and DMX's family at X's memorial service held in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center on April 24th. For the most part, the service went off perfectly, and Kanye West performed songs like Soul to Souls, Back to Life, and Keep On Moving, with the help of his Sunday service choir. Ye also created a t-shirt to celebrate X's life by hooking up a collaboration with Balenciaga and selling the shirt for $200, which sold out in a day. In the end, Ye raised $1 million for X's family, so he really looked out. The way X arrived at Barclays was dope too, because his casket was brought on a huge monster truck, which was surrounded by thousands of motorcycles. But back to what Irv had to say about X dying from a bad dose of crack. If it's true, nothing could be sadder because the rapper was probably just trying to escape his demons and didn't want to die. But what's also tragic is that DMX seemed to be doing good when he was released from federal prison in 2019 after spending a year there on tax evasion charges. He looked healthy. He was playing sold-out shows like the one he played at the House of Blues in Cleveland, Ohio in 2019, and was working on a new album. And when X relapsed after getting out, he canceled a bunch of shows and checked himself into rehab, which shows that he was serious about trying to stay sober for himself, his family, and his career. What do you think? Is Irv telling the truth about the cause of X's death? And was it right for him to tell all of his business like that? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. And always, for the latest rap news, keep it Rizzle.